to do that. Following that, if there are members of the public who are joining us via conference and would like to speak, you should use the raise your hand function through Zoom so that we know that you would like to speak. We are limiting comments to 3 minutes per person, and that's standard practice for public comment. And do we show the time clock? Do people get to see that on their Zoom screen when they're the speaker? Do any of our tech folks have an answer to that question? In the room, so they'd need to look at the podium, right? And that would need to be the full, it's pretty tiny. Maybe what I could do is announce when you've got 15 seconds, you know, you need to really quickly, or maybe 30 seconds out, give them a little time to wrap up their thoughts. Okay, so are there any members of the public who are present that wish to speak? I don't see anyone going to the microphone. Oh, yes, please go to the microphone. Yes, go to the microphone, please.
Hello, is that working?
Perfect.
Hi, all. First of all, I apologize if the tone of my email was a little flippant, but I cannot believe that this topic is really on the table. My name is Jennifer Carson. Of course, I'm a teacher who's been working in person for the entirety of the pandemic. I work with some of the most vulnerable teens and families in the peninsula. Many of these teens have grown up and are now students at the San Mateo Community Colleges. I want you to think tonight about those students who've been waiting 2 years to return in person. Maybe they started and stopped. Maybe they enrolled and then dropped, or maybe they took a lighter load because they were had other responsibilities. Or maybe they just quit the whole time because of distance learning and they haven't been in school since 2020. Pushing just a few weeks might push them an entire another semester. Or it might put them over the edge altogether, or it might delay so that they never start that career that they were going to start. Not starting on time is a big deal. I disagree that we've shown the ability to pivot back to in-person learning. We're just still not back yet. So I think we just got to get going. I want to remind you tonight that the comments, we should be grounded in 2022 reality and not 2020 or 2021 fear. In 2022, our K-12 is not shutting down. Bars, restaurants, entertainment is not shutting down. The CDC admits that education should be the last thing to shut. Vaccines are widely available and highly effective at preventing severe disease. San Mateo County is 90% vaccinated of those 5 and over. The leadership of San Mateo Community College District has committed to a safe, effective opening at school. Facilities has asserted that buildings are updated and validated as compliant. We are ready. We cannot wait any longer. Finally, you mentioned the Daily Journal today. This was in the Daily Journal. And the headlines are scary, right? Hospitalization spiking, blah, blah, blah. But I hope people read to the end of an article. And I'll read that the last line of this article says, from the county, we're not shutting down. Society is not shutting down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bell, to facilitate this, I would suggest if you could announce the first 3 speakers so that they can be ready to unmute and move this along quickly. And do you have any kind of head count of how many people are seeking to speak?
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Holabird. Yes, I do. At this time, I have 10, but I have already transferred over to, I've already transferred 3 attendees over to panelists. I have Kolo Wamba, Monica Malumud, and Kate Maloney. If you three would be prepared, I will call you individually. And just a reminder, you only have 3 minutes to speak. I will be timing you, and I will let you know when you are at your when you have 30 seconds left. So at this time, we'll start with Kolo Wamba.
I'm Dr. Kolawamba, and I teach physics at Skyline College. I come to you as an educator and a concerned scientist, but first of all, as a fellow human being, a human who, like everyone here, is not exempt from the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm here to add my voice to the group of faculty and students calling for a pumping of the brakes on our return to campus. This is in light of the ongoing, unprecedentedly intense spike in COVID cases, both within our county and in the rest of the world. Despite this unfolding horror, our political leadership and news media have recklessly pushed the narrative that the Omicron variant of COVID, most responsible for the current outbreak, is mild. Please make no mistake, this view is not supported by the science. Even though the current spike in cases hasn't come with a similar spike in hospitalizations, it is flat out wrong to conclude that Omicron is anything but alarming. According to experts, the smaller uptick in hospitalizations is more likely due to our relatively high vaccination rates than any intrinsic non-severity of the virus. What we do know for sure is that Omicron is far more transmissible. So even if Omicron is intrinsically, say, half as severe, but twice as many people get it, it'll still lead to the same number of hospitalizations. So with the healthcare system that was already stretched even before COVID, anything we do now to slow the spread will help even those with serious health issues that aren't COVID. We should also be mindful of the COVID sufferers who don't get hospitalized and die, but who end up permanently disabled by long COVID. And I remind you that this happens at similar rates to vaccinated and unvaccinated COVID sufferers. Folks, a fifth wave of COVID is upon us. But on the bright side, this means we've been given a fifth chance to get it right, and we have options. We could simply revert back to having most of our classes online. This could have the added benefit of a rebound in enrollment, as our students have been voting with their course selections, and we have full wait lists in many online sections, while our in-person sections are scraping for students and have even seen some low enrollment cancellations. Another option could be to delay the semester by a few weeks, but keep it face-to-face. This would buy some time and give the current outbreak a chance to subside before we bring folks back. But if we do this, we will need to get serious about the recommended non-pharmaceutical public health protections, which includes supplying our students with N95 masks or the equivalent, strict social distancing, and universal testing. And all of this should apply to everyone, regardless of vaccination status. A third option could be a kind of hybrid of the first two, push back the semester by a few weeks and defer the decision to go online to when we've had a chance to see if the COVID numbers improve. In a recent message to the Skyline community, President Moreno wrote about faculty members who are afraid of being in the same room as an unvaccinated person. It is unclear what's behind this fear, but if it's for their own safety, as opposed to that of the unvaccinated person, which would actually make sense, it suggests that there exists in our community a dangerous and scientifically unsound stigmatization of the unvaccinated. Okay.
Thank you.
I will stop there.
Appreciate your comments.
Next, we have Monica Malamud.
Hello, good evening. My name is Monica Mahmoud. I teach Spanish at Cañada, and I'm the president of AFT 1493, the union that represents faculty. There is no AFT statement on the agenda today, but I just wanted to say that I am speaking as president of AFT 1493 here. Today, I want to make you aware of faculty concerns regarding the beginning of the semester, especially concerns around safety and relatedly enrollment. These are concerns that AFT has expressed to the administration and the board before, and they have only become more pressing with a rapid increase in COVID cases over the past few weeks. First of all, faculty working in person must have access to the resources they need to do so safely. This will be true regardless of whether we start in-person work now or in several weeks. These resources include free COVID testing available for all faculty, staff, and students on every campus. We know that many cases of the Omicron are asymptomatic, and with exposure reports rising, We want to make sure that everyone in our district can get tested whenever they think it is necessary, and also to be in compliance with current guidelines from the San Mateo County Health Department, which I am not going to repeat because Ray Hernandez has already gone over that. However, I would like to point out that we have heard from Ray Hernandez that testing is not currently available for vaccinated faculty, staff, and students, and may not be available until the week of January 31st. Many faculty have also expressed their support for a mask mandate that applies to everyone using masks in indoor spaces on our campuses, regardless of vaccination status, and that we can guarantee that mask mandate will stay in place regardless of county orders. But so far, district administration and the board have refused to pass such a mandate. Faculty have also asked repeatedly for smaller class sizes that would allow social distancing. Faculty have made these requests in a number of forms, including through their health and safety committees. Unfortunately, the district has been unwilling to decrease class sizes for spring, so that many faculty now face teaching classes of 40 people or more in rooms where there is hardly space for students to move, let alone be 6 feet or even 3 feet apart. And finally, many faculty who work in small, often windowless offices have asked the district to make portable air purifiers available upon request. Faculty are emphasizing safety, not only because we need to take care of our health and the health of our families, but also because we care about enrollment crisis that our district has been struggling with. So as students enrolled in spring courses, we'll witness how district online sections fill more quickly than in-person ones. So for students to enroll in our in-person classes and stay enrolled at a moment when our county has more COVID cases than ever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Kate Maloney. Kate Maloney.
Hi, my name is Kate Maloney. I am a student at Middle College. I joined this program with the understanding that I would get to take college courses with college students. I would get to experience what college might be like for me. Instead, last semester, I took my college courses by myself from my bedroom. One course didn't even have a live instructor, but rather YouTube videos. There was no meaningful opportunity in any of my 3 CSM classes to interact with the teacher, nor with my classmates. I felt isolated and completely detached. I did not at all feel like a member of the CSM community. I cannot suffer through another semester of that. My classmates and I venture to say that most CSM students are desperate for live interaction, for personal connections, for feeling like we are actually part of a community. This community college has lost all feelings of community, and in doing so, it is losing student engagement, student will, and student life. This loss of community is also taking a heavy toll on student mental health. I see it every day. My peers and I are suffering. Deeply, profoundly, irreversibly suffering because of nearly 2 years, we have been locked out of student life. We have been alone, unconnected, disengaged, and isolated. Please do not continue with the status quo. Please do not continue to deny us the ability to engage in our education the way the legislator intended, the way that founders intended. Please free us from the vacuum of isolation and allow us to return to the classroom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Alicia Polomsky. Alicia Polomsky.
Hi, I'm Alicia Polomsky. I teach physics and astronomy at CSM. And I just have a very short comment and possible question. I would encourage everyone here to ponder the staff shortages in academia and also in the healthcare industry that are happening because of the Omicron surge in areas that are east of us, in the Midwest and in the East Coast. And I'm curious if we have even an idea of when Omicron is going to peak here in our area. And that is something that we should take into consideration. If we are so short-staffed because of everybody being out sick from Omicron, what is the point of being face-to-face? And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Trang Luong Panning Button. Trang Luong Panning Button.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Chancellor Claire, and members of the community. My name is Trang Luong, and I'm a counseling faculty at CSM. I would like first to thank you for holding this special meeting today and for hearing our thoughts and concerns about the spring semester that's about to kick off next week. As you may all have seen and heard from the news and media outlets, we're going through another COVID surge. Only this time, everything seems to spread a lot more rapidly. In the last 7 days or so, we're looking at about 9,000 cases in San Mateo. Despite the high vaccination rates in our county, about 1 out of every 10 people in the county has tested positive so far. We can look at the numbers all day, but what I would like to offer now is actually a personal perspective instead. Over winter break, my family of 3 actually tested positive for COVID-19, including my 2-year-old, who is obviously unvaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated and boosted, and my partner was 7 days away from getting his booster shot. While our symptoms were not severe, they were not mild either, and it truly was one of the toughest times in my life. As of today, almost 3 weeks later from when we first tested positive, I still have symptoms, and I'm very, very wary of the long-term effects that COVID could potentially have on me and my family. I chose to share this because I really hope that this can shed light on how contagious this variant is and how detrimental it can be for people and their families. As counselors, we often work in small spaces with no windows and no room for social distancing, really, and we meet with students for extended periods of time. I am worried that we will be putting our health and our students' health at risk by rushing back so quickly. Another point that I wanted to share also is that a few counselors actually started working with students starting last week, and we have heard numerous concerns directly from students about returning on campus and taking in-person classes. Students have expressed that they are worried about their health and safety as COVID cases continue to surge, and they're not sure which safety measures are in place to make sure that they're safe on campus. Many students have communicated their preferences either to sign up for online classes or to switch from the in-person classes they had initially planned to take to online options. But the majority, if not all, of the online sections are already full and have relatively long wait lists. I do believe that to maintain student enrollment, it seems sensible at this point to take a proactive rather than a reactive approach in this situation. Rather than resuming everything back in person in the middle of a COVID outbreak and potentially shutting down soon after, which is reactive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Bob Andrews. Bob Andrews.
Hi, my name is Robert Andrews. I work at one of the 5 greater universities that you noted in your slides, and obviously I'll state that's the CSU. And so to kind of beg a difference with what I heard earlier, we do indeed have a plan, and that plan is very reminiscent to what your option A is, which is delaying in-person instruction until either the end of the month into early June. Last semester, our campus brought back 41% of our classes online, or from not online, but in person. We plan on at the end of the 31st bringing back 100% of our students. I think one of the things that I see here is that the desire to move the community college direction in a direction of completely closing the entire semester off to online learning is nothing more than leading into our ignorance and our ability to failing to adapt to the current situation that we're dealing with here. The numbers that I hear from the metrics provided, I'm involved daily in hearing CDC numbers and what have you. And I will tell you, yes, there is a lot of concern and a lot of scare, but at the same time, if you really look at those numbers and you look at what they represent, they're very small here in the Bay Area. We have the highest number of vaccinated people attending our schools. My youngest kid has been attending high school now for 2 semesters with no trouble whatsoever. What I see is fear impacting our ability to make a relevant decision here. That best relevant decision is to take the course that some of our other universities are taking, the vast majority of them, which is your option A. Extend in-person learning temporarily at the beginning. Let's get through the peak, and then let's return to what we do, instruct students in the class. I'm sorry I don't have a canned speech like most of the folks I've heard tonight, but probably the best speech I heard was from our student who spoke to each of you, representing her view to be back on campus. If my daughter could participate in this conversation right now, I would tell you she would. She suffers from anxiety disorders and is looking at going into her 5th semester of studying in her house. She told me last night when she learned about this meeting, Dad, I can't do that anymore. We need to get back to doing what teachers do, and that's teaching in a class. And for whatever reason, we're taking the metrics that are provided to us, and we're using those to our best advantage to represent a simple point of view of what we want to achieve. What I'm hearing tonight is that view of this community college system is, I'm scared, which I do understand, and so I want to stay home and teach from my house because that's where I feel comfortable.
30 seconds.
I have not been home yet at all. I have continued to work every single day for the last 2.5 years on my campus, and I'll tell you, our safety measures have worked. Yours can too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Rosemary Bell. Rosemary Bell.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. I have a couple of things I wanted to say. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I do agree with the young woman, the student. If she, for one moment, if any of you for one moment do not think that we want to get back with our students, I really don't know where you have been the past 2.5 years. That's all we want to do. It's all we talk about. But there's always the but. We want to be safe doing it. So I agree with the young woman 100%. Number 2, I'm really disappointed that there didn't seem to be time to get the input from the academic senate. We're the ones in the classroom. I think that is a real, I think it's, first of all, I think it's disrespectful, but the input of faculty is crucial here. And we're not talking about canceling the whole semester. We're talking 2 weeks initially to give us some time to see how we do after this surge. And one of the last things I just want to say is all the data. Board of Trustee Goodman, thank you so much for saying that all the data that we were presented tonight was as clear as mud. Because we need to deal with the here and now. And when a student comes and says, I feel sick, what do I do? I'm not going to be able to find information for that student, you know, unless I go through the entire data collection business. I really don't think that, I think we need to simplify, certainly, our process. And the last thing I just want to say is, you know, you talk about all the data in the world, but you can't quantify the despair and the anxiety we all feel in this situation. You just can't. So do I want to go back on campus? You betcha. I gave up retirement in May 2020, so I would be able to not only go to a graduation after 31 years at Skyline, but also to revel in the excitement
25 seconds.
that my students would feel. I haven't been on campus since March 11th of 2020. And believe me, it hurts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Catherine Burton. Catherine Burton.
Hi, I'm Catherine Burton. I'm an educator in the Sequoia Union High School District. I want to acknowledge many speakers who I agree with. I hear what Mr. Wamba is saying. Rosemary, I 100% have been where you have been, missing my students desperately, but also wanting to balance my own health. Kate, I think, is going to come up a lot because as educators, the student voice is everything to us. And she is echoing my own daughter's anxiety. Last time we went through this, we said we were going to go remote for 2 weeks, and it turned into 2 years. As an educator, I understand the numbers that lead to shutdowns, and I fully support Ms. Mahmood's safety concerns. Obviously, as educators, we need to make sure that we are all safe. Of course, we have to have masks. I also understand the balance between our risk of COVID and the impact on the mental health and the academic health of our students. I want to underscore Ms. Carson's point that our underrepresented students disappeared during the pandemic. This could explain the community college enrollment crisis. It's possible. Kenyatta has required my daughter to have the vaccine. And my experience has been for my student who has a learning disability, that she's been severely impacted by remote learning. She, like Kate, has struggled with sitting at home learning or trying to learn. And I want to know how you are ensuring that our underrepresented and our underserved students' voices are heard and that they are being served effectively.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very
your
much.
Thank you for your comment. Linda Allen. Linda Allen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. You know, as I sit here and I listen to us talk about working remotely, I hear a lot about our lectures, about the classes that our faculty are teaching, and that's all very and extremely important. But what about the classified? If we're talking about keeping the campus open remotely, I mean, even just for a little bit, who's going to do it? The classified. The classified will be sitting on the front lines while the bulk of folks, whether it's administrators or our colleagues, our faculty members, are working remotely. So what I asked of this board is that whatever decision you make sure that you keep in mind the classified folks that are sitting on the front line, first of all. And whatever decision it is, that it is clear. Because unfortunately, different campuses get different messages from different administrators. And it is extremely frustrating for the classified when we come together in our meetings and we talk about what's happening at this campus or what this administrator has said or done. So whatever decisions you make, please keep the classified in mind and make sure that your decisions are clear. They're not vague and left up to whatever decision the administrator makes. Please make sure that it's clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Mike Tilson. Mike Tilson.
Hello.
We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to listen and to have this discussion. I really just have 2 points, maybe 3. Earlier, Chancellor Claire, in talking about the local schools, both the high schools and the local colleges, the 4 years, the one thing that really stood out to me was that he said the high schools are a pretty good proxy. Right, a pretty good proxy for what's going on and where you should be. As a teacher in the Sequoia Union High School District, I think you should really pay attention to that. We've been back in person since the fall. We've had mask mandates. We've had the support of testing. We've had the support of masks handed out to students and staff. And we've had testing kits sent out to the community as well. So I would ask the board to support those measures to make your staff and faculty feel safe. And I would ask the board to look into a mask mandate. And again, keep in mind that your chancellor made the comment that high schools are a pretty good proxy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Dr. Michael Cross. Dr. Michael Cross.
Hi, thanks, Candace, and hello, everybody. Thanks for the conversation. And it's good to see some familiar faces on Zoom. I think that so I teach English at Skyline College. I've been there for a number of years. I've taught at the college level for about 20 years. And one of the real big concerns for me at this point is this sort of atavistic rhetoric around the so-called return to normalcy. Without really understanding what students, faculty, and staff really want, right? I think we've heard a lot of anecdotes where, we've had certain students say, this is what I want, this is what my family wants, this is what my children want. But I wonder if we really understand that, right? Because on the one hand, I think it's not just these two options, that either everyone is online or everyone is on campus. I know that some students are desperate to return, but over the last 2 semesters, I've worked with hundreds of students who are desperate to stay online. Right. And so I think what we really need to understand is how can we create a kind of flexibility so students can find the option that works for them. Right. It concerns me that we don't really know what the division of online classes versus hybrid classes versus in-person classes are across the district. And I think that if we had a better understanding of what that looked like so that students could find the option that works best for them, then we would really be student first, right? I think that this is what we're trying to do, is to serve what students need. And I think that we can't just say, because some students spoke up today and said that they would like to be online, that doesn't speak for every student in every situation across our district. So I would argue that going back and forth, the switching between starting online and then going to person and then everybody getting sick and then going back online, that's not a good option, right? I think that a better option would be to have a larger variety of options. It sounds like our online classes are filling, and I would argue that that means that there is an audience for those online classes. In fact, my dean spoke to me the other day and said that all of our really low enrolled English classes are the in-person ones. And it seems to me that the online classes are filling, right? And so what I would like to see is clearer data about how many classes are online, how many classes are hybrid, how many classes are in person across the district, trying to figure out a way to balance those so there's lots of options for students, and then giving them the opportunity to choose what works for them without then switching. Because I think that the problem is that we know for our students that it's hard enough for them to acclimate to campus. And I think that if we start online and then go back to campus and then go back online, we're going to lose a lot of students. And I'm really worried about that. I think we need to have a lot of varieties, and then we need to stick to the plan so that students know that however they start, that's the way that their class is going to finish, unless something major happens over the next month. So please, let's talk about data. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Ms. Bell, can you give us a head count of who is still seeking to speak?
Yes, Mr. President, I have 8 individuals who are ready to speak. And next we have Marianne Koletsky. Marianne Koletsky.
Hello, my name is Marianne Koletsky, and I'm Executive Secretary of the AFT Union that represents faculty in SMCCCD. I'm here tonight not on my own behalf or to represent AFT, but rather to read a statement that a faculty member sent to AFT. This faculty member couldn't be here tonight, but wanted their statement read. And so, it is so unnecessary and unsafe to force a return to classrooms during a surge, especially one like this. Judging by my husband and friends in K through 12, it's just a horrible situation for teachers, admins, and students and their families right now. Out because of symptoms, close contacts, positive cases, waiting for test results, all disrupting and complicating teaching and learning and adding so much emotional stress. My husband has had a known exposure at work to a positive staff or student every day since he went back on Monday, the 3rd of January. Who knows how many unknown exposures he's had and how many my kids would have if I had sent them to school. I'm keeping them home until I start teaching. He's masking at home, avoiding the kids, and basically quarantining. I'm not even sure if it would be worth it if meaningful teaching were taking place. But as it is, half the class is missing and/or in and out because of the above reasons. All this is to say that our students, staff, and faculty are still dealing with COVID in such a way that a return to normal is not feasible, let alone safe. My daughter's school is about to shut down because of a staff shortage. My husband has been advised that they might go virtual, all of which disrupts teaching and learning at our institution as well, for our faculty and for students. I agree with everyone that online and Zoom classrooms are far less effective and enjoyable than teaching face-to-face. But where there's a will to teach and a yearning to learn, that connection still occurs and we persevere. I think we are fortunate to have the technology and capability to maintain an educational pathway for students in light of a deadly pandemic. And I think we have to question if students would forfeit their safety for their education or whether it is the other way around. So that's a faculty member's statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Joan Murphy. Next, we have Joan Murphy.
Good evening. Thank you so much for holding this very, very important special meeting. And I'm speaking as a CSEA classified staff member, but most importantly, I'm talking as a mother, a sister, an auntie, and a grandmother. Unfortunately, we've been hit very, very hard in my family. My sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew, and most alarming, my 2-year-old granddaughter has just tested positive for COVID and is very sick. So yeah, it's definitely hit home. And for me, I really implore the Board of Trustees, when they are considering in-person services, and when I hear in-person services, faculty can go back to teaching remote, but we want to hold in-person services. It really hits classified staff very, very hard. So I would really beg for parity and equity there, because it's either safe enough for everybody to be there or not safe enough for anybody to be there. So safe is safe, and I really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Kathy Diamond. Kathy Diamond.
Hi, hi, my name is Kathy Diamond. I teach biology at College of San Mateo. And I just wanted to put in my 2 cents about biology laboratories. So for this semester, the biology department at CSM scheduled all of our biology labs on campus because we've learned how important it is for the students to get to actually practice lab skills so that they can go on in future studies. And I'm just as concerned as everyone else is about safety and masking and so on. But I just wanted to say that we really think it's important that we have our biology laboratories on campus. And I want the board to keep that in mind. I spent a long time planning labs for this semester and scheduling them and setting up the lab materials list for my lab manager. And now I'm starting to think about, okay, well, maybe we'll be online part of the time. And I have wait lists in my classes and they're a little crowded, but I want to accommodate everybody. So I may have to work them in cohorts and so on. But we will just do whatever it takes to be safe so that we can, in fact, give our students what they really, really need in sciences, which is in person, in the lab, hands-on lab skills learning. And going back and forth makes planning just impossible. I'm happy to record lectures, do Zoom lectures and so on, but I just want to strongly express the opinion that we need our science labs to be on campus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Maria Lara. Maria Lara.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, a couple of things. First of all, thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to do it really quickly. In echoing what Linda Allen has stated, whatever the board decides, please, if you decide to continue to offer services on campus, please keep the classified staff in mind as Linda has stated, they are on the front line. And what I mean by that is that if, regardless of what the CDC recommendations are, please continue to mandate the masks. It's the little things that make a difference for our staff. And please bring back the 6 feet social distancing. Please control large groups in the waiting areas. And also I wanted to comment, please place the plexiglass, which I believe in previous meetings was brought to our attention that had already been purchased. So for those classified members or faculty members who wish to have the plexiglass in their offices to please be installed. Just one little comment. I keep hearing a lot about how San Mateo County has high percentage of the community fully being vaccinated. I would be curious to see how many of our students, staff are from the San Mateo Community College. One of the slides from the high schools that I just saw clearly showed the Sequoia Union High School District showing the 600 students who were affected by COVID versus San Mateo, which I think had 200. So I think just we need to keep that in mind as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you for your comment. Dr. Kathy Zerer. Dr. Kathy Zerer.
Thank you so much. My name is Kathy Zarur, and I teach art history at Skyline College. I actually started working here during the pandemic, and it has been extremely challenging, to say the least. Teaching to a bunch of black squares on my screen is not my idea of productive educational scenario. However, I just wanted to comment as someone who is living with my mother who is elderly. That's something that hasn't really come up. Many households are multi-generational, not only among classified and faculty, but also students. And I know personally some who are really worried about elders in their households. I'll shift to a personal anecdote. I didn't attend this party, but 26 people in my family got sick from COVID over Christmas Eve. And it was really scary, really high fevers, and no one was hospitalized, but we're still in this. The question of long COVID, there are so many unknowns. And I just want to say that it's very clear to me that we have to live with this virus. We have to figure out a way to do it. Staying isolated has been detrimental to our mental health and other aspects of our lives as well. But things like social distancing and masking are so important. I have a class of 45 students in person, and that just sounds like a disaster to me. If I should not be in a classroom with 45 students, most of whom will likely be asymptomatic if they're carrying the virus. It's just dangerous and unnecessary to say nothing about, best practices for pedagogy. So I'd really like to encourage the board to consider things like breaking up classes so that, we have maybe 20, 25 students per class. And let's give these students
30 seconds.
Good education. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Michaela Balan. Michaela Balan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michaela, and I am a student and employee at Skyline. I will be speaking on behalf of myself and to express my concerns as a student in the colleges. So to be honest, I feel very terrified to go back to campus. I've been online since 2020, like many other students. However, the thought of being on campus under the impression that things are normal feels very wrong. Knowing that any other student or faculty, for example, could come onto campus that knowing that they are asymptomatic feels extremely uncomfortable, I will say, and especially for those who cannot afford to isolate for 5 days. For example, students who live in crowded homes, students who suffer from food insecurity, students who live alone, and students with immunocompromised individuals residing with them, such as grandparents. So to reflect Marianne's previous statement, I don't believe that going to school should mean I have to risk my safety and the safety of others who I live with and those around me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have, hold on just a moment because I did move a couple of people over to speak. Let's see where they are.
How many are seeking to speak at this point? I'm sorry?
We
5
have
people.
6.
6 people. So
Yes.
we'll proceed. I would just ask if we've heard now from, I think, 19 people who've all had, very compelling comments to make. If you can try to keep it brief, that would be appreciated. If you can tell us who you are, what your relationship is to our campuses, or if any, and what you would like us to do quickly, that would be appreciated. And I'd say after this group, which we've got 6, is that correct?
Yes.
I'd ask the board if when we're done with this group, if we would want to kind of move to that standard. But let's hear from this group of 6. Thank you.
Thank you, President Oliver. Next, we have Nancy. Nancy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for letting me speak this evening. My name's Nancy, and I'm speaking on behalf of my son, who is a high school student at Kenyatta. This is his 3rd year attending community college courses. And a couple of things that I just wanted to bring up. Doesn't sound like we're going to come to any agreement. You've got people on either side of the fence that want to return, people that don't. And I know it's a really hard situation for the board to have to make a final decision on this. You'll be meeting tomorrow on that. But I just wanted to know how are you going to instill the policies of when we do return, or when the students do return, and the employees do return, the teachers. My son has received a lot of information on testing, and I'm not quite sure what your legal counsel would say, but he's been asked to sign things, and he's underage. So I know there's a lot of other high school students on your campuses, so how that is going to play out, and what will the policies be? So whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, I've heard a lot of people speak that they're just concerned the overall community of people being on that campus. I have also seen on your websites that visitors will be allowed on campus, and there won't be any need for testing for that. So it sounds to me like, regardless of what your decision is tomorrow or the coming days, return to campus, when that happens, I feel like we saw a lot of PowerPoints at the beginning of the meeting tonight. They're beautifully done, but it is very complicated. I think it needs to be more mainstreamed and clearer understanding for people to follow, and across the board. I think whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, then it needs to be made the same for everyone. And my son would like to return to campus, but I actually had him registered for online courses and made the switch last week to all online courses. So I know of another family that homeschools also, and they've pulled their students out of our 3 community colleges, and they have enrolled in the Foothill De Anza. So there is people making movements and choosing other options. So thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Anthony Tran. Anthony Tran.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Tran, and I'm the president of the Associated Students of Skyline College. I will be speaking on behalf of the ASSC, and we believe that safety should be our #1 priority. Although we acknowledge the voice of students who advocate to return to in-person instruction, we cannot take any risks and hope Omicron will pass. We all agree that going back to in-person instruction is our end goal, but going back to normal cannot happen if we continue to be negligent and play our cards with the risk of everything blowing up in our face. We cannot deny the very real possibility that even if we do go back onto campus, the chances of an outbreak will cause us to return back to online learning, taking us back to square one. Knowing this, the ASSC believes our best option will be to transition the first 2 weeks to online learning to give ourselves a better scope of our current climate revolving this ongoing pandemic. COVID-19 is not the luck of the draw, and we cannot continue taking our chances with a known killer. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Alicia Frangos. Alicia Frangos.
Hello, thank you everybody for letting me speak. I'm going to keep it really short. One of the things I'm most concerned about is I just would like to make sure that we have clarity of the safety procedures for when we do return to campus. I'm a member of the classified staff at CSM. I work in counseling services. I'm the secretary of our classified senate. We've been on campus for quite a long time. I see a lot of students on campus not wearing their masks, and it's been unclear to us as to who can enforce the mask wearing mandate. I want it to be safe for everybody, and I want to support our students as we all do. Also, in my work, I work with students who are quite hyper marginalized, the students that are on probation and dismissal. Many of them were doing very well to come back to good standing, and now many of them have suffered with the online education. And we're hearing some students do better with it, some students really suffer being isolated. So we need more support for those students who are struggling, and we just really need clarity of the safety precautions. And I do thank the district, though, for what you already are doing in terms of all of this as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. President Hollibert, just an update. We only have 3 individuals that would like to speak, as a couple of them did remove or lower their hand. Next, we have Brittany Sneed. Brittany Sneed.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Brittany Sneed. I am a classified staff member at Skyline College. I'm also involved with CSEA, as well as the Women's Mentoring and Leadership Academy, the Black Student Union, Umoja A-Step. And I wanted to speak today to kind of speak on behalf of the Black Student Union and the marginalized communities that have continually been brought up today. And we have been meeting, the Black Student Union has met over the last few weeks. We've been planning Black History Month. We're really excited about what to do this year. However, the students are concerned about COVID. They have, I think all of the students have entirely online course load. One student has 1 class in person, and that's only because it's not offered online. And there is 1 student who prefers to be on campus. However, we've also all decided that we wanted to have all of the events virtual that we are going to host. And as far as speaking about the underrepresented communities, I just wanted to keep in mind that when we talk about what the communities need, we have to make sure we're talking to them and not making assumptions and being paternalistic. There were many reasons why students are not achieving their best scholastically. That includes employment, having to take care of their household, underemployment, losing jobs, responsibilities such as taking care of children, siblings, their elder grandparents, parents. And I just wanted to keep that in mind as we make these discussions and talk about our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Pam. Pam.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. My name is actually Lin Chang. I'm the father and Pam's. We are parents of a student at Cañada. She's not actually enrolled right now because it was just so difficult to learn actually in a virtual remote environment with the science class she was taking. But I just wanted to, I'm actually also a physician. I'm frontline worker and I'm also a scientist. And I just wanted to point out some facts and I'll be as quick as possible. So eliminating interpersonal interactions has led to a lot of isolation and a huge explosion of mental health illness. And it's especially been among the young adults and the students and the youth. And everyone knows that. So it's something to keep in mind. Second thing I want to point out is that going virtual is just one of many strategies to prevent transmission of the virus responsible for COVID-19. And transmission is going to continue, whether or not the colleges and the schools shut down. The virus is not going to be eradicated. We are actually have entered a while ago an endemic stage, and we're going to be in an endemic stage indefinitely. And so these are the two options really that there are if we just simplify it. We can either shut down and try to stop transmission, which is totally unrealistic. The vaccination does not stop transmission. That's clearly known. The CDC even has that published. Now, if the goal is to stop transmission, then we basically should never open. Nothing should open. Everyone should just stay inside their house and never interact with anyone. And eventually the virus will go away. Option number two is what one faculty member suggested from CSM, the science professor, is just to open and have a variety of options so that everyone with their own personal preferences and just levels of concern can be accommodated. The second option has the highest chance of reaching a new normal for our society, really. And, where everyone's needs and preferences are accommodated. But if we just keep shutting down and trying to stop transmission, it's never gonna, we'll just be shutting down and opening over and over again, as we have seen. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And our last speaker for the evening is Teresa Morris. Teresa Morris.
Good evening, board, and good evening, presidents. I am Teresa Morris. I'm a librarian at College of San Mateo. I am currently also the co-president of Academic Senate at College of San Mateo. Last week, my co-president and I, Ariel Smith, spoke with Jennifer Taylor Mendoza about our concerns about reopening. And I just want to reiterate a few of the things that we told Dr. Taylor Mendoza, but I also want to reiterate there were several of the things that were said here already by faculty and by classified staff. And I would like the board to think about these things. They had questions about the availability of testing for employees, not only for faculty, but for all employees. And I think that is a very valid consideration that needs to be made and very clear to help people understand who is coming in and out of the workspaces they have, whatever decision is made. Over the break, the hunt for home PCR tests, home COVID tests was manic, frenetic, and just chaotic. And if any of you saw what happened at Fremont Unified School District, it will be a very important question to be resolved for us. And so I'm hoping we're having planning for that because we will have faculty and classified staff who are on campus, regardless of if many classes are delayed for 2 weeks, in-person classes are delayed for 2 weeks, but we really need to have a system to help people feel more comfortable. And so we need to be prepared for that for the full semester. I also wanted to make the other comment that we made and was passed along, I believe, was that the impact of having 2 to 5 people in some departments go out with COVID-related symptoms or quarantines, isolation, or illness, or the impact on their families can completely devastate the services available for students, the in-classroom service, in-classroom instruction, and the services that support all of our students. I also want to re-emphasize what we heard about the daycare, about how we are part of a larger educational system, and that daycare systems and K through 12 impacts will be felt at our school and will have an impact on whatever instruction we can provide to the students. It simply will. And that also, lastly, that faculty and all of our services that support the students that come to campus, come to our instructional institution in any way, need time to make a shift if this is going to happen. So I want to thank you for allowing me to make the comments and have a, thank you.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who spoke this evening. We're going to now close public comment. And